All right, welcome back to the deep dive, everybody. Today, we're going to be taking a look at something that I think we all struggle with, and that's how do we actually, like, study effectively?
Oh, yeah.
Especially, some stuff comes easily,
Yeah.
and other stuff is just like, oh, I really got to pound this into my brain.
Yeah, for sure.
So we've got a study here that really looks at this in detail.
Right. And it focuses specifically on self-testing. So, you're studying some material, and how do you test yourself to see if you're actually retaining it?
Okay.
And the researchers in this study had students learning Lithuanian
Oh,
and
wow.
English word pairs.
Lithuanian. Okay.
Yeah.
So, not the easiest.
Not the easiest, no.
Right. So we've got this kind of inherent, like, level of difficulty already built in, right?
Exactly.
And then they looked at, okay, well, some of these words are even harder than others.
Right.
So they were, like, normatively easy or normatively difficult is how they put it.
Yeah, so you've got like a range of difficulty, even within this, foreign language.
Right.
So it's a really good way to kind of get at this question of, well, do people actually change how they study
Right.
based on how difficult they find the material?
Right. Right. Because I know, for me, sometimes I fool myself. Like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, I got that.
Yeah, yeah. You get that like feeling of fluency.
And then you go back and you're like,
Yeah,
wait a minute.
it's gone.
That's not in there.
Right.
So what specifically did these students have the option to do? What were their, like, study strategies?
Right. So after they would see these word pairs, they had basically three options.
Okay.
They could restudy the pair.
Okay.
Just look at it again.
Got it.
They could test themselves on it,
Okay.
which is really what we're focusing on here, that self-testing element.
Right.
Or they could actually just drop it.
Okay.
They could say, you know what? I feel good about this one. I'm going to get rid of it.
Okay.
And that way they could kind of focus their efforts on the ones they were still struggling with.
Right. Right. So really interesting. It's a very, I guess, self-directed.
Very self-regulated. Yeah, they
Yeah.
were really in the driver's seat.
Okay. So what do they find?
Well, the first thing they noticed is that, in general, participants did a lot of self-testing.
Okay. That makes sense.
Right. It kind of makes sense. Like, you want to practice.
Yeah. Yeah. You
Retrieval practice, we know that's a good thing.
Right. You want to see if you can pull it out of your brain.
Exactly.
Great.
But here's the thing. They found that both for the easy items and the difficult items,
Well,
people tended to stop practicing once they got it right. Once.
oh, just one time.
Just once.
Even if it was really hard.
Yeah, and that was the sort of across the board. They weren't really differentiating between those two types of items.
And what was the result of that? What happened on the final test?
Well, the big result, when they actually tested them a couple of days later, was that their performance on the difficult items
Okay.
was significantly lower than on the easy items.
Yeah, that makes sense if you only study it once and it's tough.
Right. They weren't getting enough practice to really solidify that knowledge.
Got it.
So that was a big kind of initial finding there.
Okay. So let's go back to that first experiment for a second.
Yeah.
So we know we've got these Lithuanian word pairs.
Yeah.
We know some are easy, some are hard.
Right.
How did they actually set up that first experiment?
So they had two main groups of participants in that first experiment.
Okay.
One was what they called the self-regulated learning group.
Okay.
These were the folks who got to choose.
Right, they were driving the bus.
They were driving the bus, exactly.
Okay.
The other group was what we might call a comparison group or an experimenter-controlled group.
Okay.
And for these folks, the researchers actually dictated how they were going to study.
So they were given a schedule.
They were given a schedule, exactly.
Right.
So it wasn't up to them to choose restudy, test, or drop.
It was all laid out.
It was all laid out, exactly.
Okay, interesting. And then how did those two groups compare?
All right, so here's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
The self-regulated learning group, the ones who got to choose,
Okay.
actually performed worse overall
Really?
than the group that had this experimenter-controlled schedule.
So more choice led to worse outcomes.
Yeah, which is kind of counterintuitive, right? You think if you can optimize your own learning,
Yeah.
you'd do better.
Tailor it to your needs.
Exactly.
Huh.
But that's not what they found.
That's really interesting.
And so that's what really kind of spurred them to do this second experiment,
Okay.
to try to dig into why that was happening. Why were people treating the easy and difficult items the same?
Right. Why weren't they changing their strategies based on the difficulty?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So in the second experiment, they actually introduced three new groups.
Okay.
And each of these groups got what they called a scaffold.
The scaffold.
Yeah.
What's a scaffold?
So think of a scaffold as like a little bit of extra support or guidance
Okay.
to try to help people regulate their learning a little better.
So something that would, like, nudge them in the right direction.
Exactly.
Okay.
To make smarter choices about how they were studying.
Okay.
So across these three groups, they had different kinds of scaffolds.
Okay.
But the basic idea was to try to make people more aware of like how they were doing,
Okay.
right? Like, hey, this item's really difficult. Maybe you need to study it more.
Okay. Got it. So just a little bit of, like, I guess, feedback and extra information.
Exactly.
Help them make better choices.
Exactly.
Okay. So what happened? Did the scaffolds work?
So here's the thing. Even with the scaffolds, people's learning choices were still basically the same.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they still tended to stop practicing after one correct recall.
Whether it was easy or difficult.
So they weren't adjusting their strategies even with this extra support.
Right. It seemed like that initial feeling of, oh, I got it right, was just really powerful.
Right.
And they weren't thinking, well, hold on, maybe I need to practice this a few more times.
Right. Like maybe it was just a fluke.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and then, of course, the result of that was their performance on the difficult items was still lower than on the easy items.
Okay, so even with the scaffolds, that same pattern emerged?
Exactly. The scaffolds didn't really move the needle in terms of their actual behavior.
So what was going on there? Why were they so resistant to changing their strategy?
So this is where it gets really interesting, I think.
Okay.
In that second experiment, one of the groups,
Yeah.
they called it the plan group.
Okay.
And before they even started learning any word pairs, they asked this group, they said, okay, imagine students are trying to learn these word pairs.
And they want to do well. They want to get like 70% correct on the final test.
Okay.
How do you think they should approach learning the easy items versus the difficult item?
Got it. So they were like thinking about it in the abstract before they even started studying?
Exactly. Like, what's the ideal way to study?
Right.
And, they ask them specific questions like, how many times should they test themselves? When should they restudy? When should they drop an item? Things like that.
So do they have any insights?
So here's the thing. These participants, they actually said that they believe students should practice the difficult items more than the easy items.
Okay.
They said, yeah, you should test yourself more on the difficult ones. You should probably restudy them more. You should only drop them after you've gotten them right multiple times.
Oh, okay.
So they had this understanding that, like, yeah, difficult things require more effort.
Right. Which makes total sense.
Right.
So they knew what they should do.
They knew what they should do.
But then they didn't do it.
But then they didn't do it. Exactly.
Feel like on there.
Right. So this really points to, I think, a key aspect of what we call metacognition, which is our ability to understand and control our own learning processes.
Oh, okay. So they have the knowledge. They have that metacognitive awareness.
They have the awareness.
But then they're not applying it.
But then they're not applying it in their own behavior.
So, like, they can give good advice to a friend.
Exactly.
But then they go and do the exact opposite.
Exactly. It's like, we all know we should eat healthy and exercise.
Yeah.
But then we don't always do it.
Right. So it's like that, but for learning.
Exactly.
Okay, so what does this all mean?
Yeah.
What's the big takeaway here? Why does this matter for us listening?
So I think the really important takeaway is that this tendency to stop self-testing too soon is really detrimental to our learning, especially when we're dealing with difficult material.
Right, we get fooled by that feeling of, oh, I got it right once.
Exactly. We think we've mastered it, but we really haven't.
Yeah.
And so it's really crucial to, push past that initial success and keep practicing.
Especially with the hard stuff.
Especially with the hard stuff, yeah.
Okay.
So one thing that comes to mind for me is, what about those people in that first study who were given that experimenter-controlled schedule?
Yeah, the ones who actually did better.
They actually did better.
What does that tell us?
Right. So I think that suggests that sometimes a little bit of structure can be really helpful.
Okay.
Maybe we shouldn't always rely on our own judgment
to
decide when we're done studying.
Because we might be fooling ourselves.
We might be fooling ourselves, exactly.
Yeah.
So maybe, having a plan or using a program that kind of spaces out your practice could be really beneficial.
So it's like self-testing is great, but maybe we need a little help sometimes.
Exactly. We need those guardrails to keep us on track.
Okay, so final thoughts here.
Yeah.
What do we want our listeners to take away and actually apply to their own lives?
Right. So the key thing here is to be aware of this tendency to under-practice difficult material
Okay.
and to really think about, like, how can you push yourself to keep going
Okay.
even when you feel like you've got it?
So be honest with yourself.
Be honest with yourself. Yeah.
And maybe set some higher standards.
Exactly. Like, maybe instead of stopping after one correct recall, aim for 3 in a row.
Yeah. Oh.
Or maybe even 5.
Right.
Especially if it's something that you know is really important or really challenging for you.
Yeah. And maybe think about like those things that, you do find really difficult. And maybe that's where you need to look for some more structure.
Exactly.
Like find a course or a program or something that can help you stay on track.
Exactly.
So it's really about understanding yourself as a learner.
Yeah. And I think ultimately, this all comes back to this idea of metacognition.
Okay.
Which we talked about before, like understanding how you learn best.
Right. And bridging that gap between what we know we should do and what we actually do.
Exactly.
That's where the real magic happens.
That's where the real learning happens.
Awesome. Well, thanks for diving into this with us today.
Yeah, this is great.
I think this is something that I know I'm going to be thinking about a lot in my own learning.
Yeah, me too.
All right. Thanks, everyone, for listening, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.
See you then.